one became two. Two only had each other. One lost a sister, and one a brother. One a mother, the other a father. For one, it was their worst day. But for the other, it was his best.
All right, close enough. Hello, everyone. This is Jaliber back with another podcast. With me, we have some special guests. I've already introduced myself last time, and so has Term, aka Mr. Freeze. For the two new people, would you like you two go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, my name is Lex of Power. I am one of the new writers for season 2, and I will be writing the episodes of Black.
Don't give any character specific away. I want to keep that a surprise.
Oh, that's the surprise. Why
Yes,
didn't you
the
tell me
characters.
that in advance?
I thought I did.
Anyway, but yeah, I'm one of the writers for season 2, and I'm very excited to be working on these projects with these really cool and really talented people.
Yep.
And I'm Sean MD, and I voice Marcus for this series. And I honestly have nothing more to add to that.
Yes. And of course,
I do voices.
Yes.
Specifically his voice. Just so you all know.
I've been hoping to get a podcast with all the interviews at some point. Hopefully at some point.
Hopefully at some point.
Yes. Term, go ahead and reintroduce yourself.
Hello again, I'm Terminati. I voice Mr. Freeze, and thank you for having me again once more in this podcast.
Once more, we don't know how many more you'll be able to get to.
I'll sleep in my way some way.
Hold on. Don is just texting me.
So are we having a fifth member today?
No.
Okay.
The moderator wanted to join. So I have a moderator in the server for this podcast. She's great. But as I said before, I want to keep this to 4 people, including myself. Hello, I am Joe Liber again. I voice Scarecrow. I write, direct, and do a million other things. Like always. So, like before, we're going to ask 3 questions, but some updates real quick. Season 10 has been written, and it is in production at the moment. Episode 10 will be finished sometime in May, and will be released in May. So hold out for that. And episode 10 is the season 1 finale. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and hopefully we get some big views from it. But afterwards we will start working on season 2, and season 2 will hopefully come out sometime in July. Several episodes have been written, and they are being worked on. Hold on.
Hey, it's cool that I don't have headphones, right?
Yeah, it's fine, as long as there's not an echo.
Okay, cool. Don't worry, I'm not in a very big room. I'm in a pretty compact room.
Yep.
I could say it the same for me. Me.
Damn it. So I have 3 questions.
Yeah,
and
shoot.
Unlike before where I asked the question for everyone, including the audience, last, no one watched that podcast till the very end, so they didn't get that question. So, reformatting it, we're going to start with that question again. What should we do with the superheroes of the DC Universe? I kind of have some ideas. If you want one version of the idea, go to a channel called Fire Drag Productions, Watchtower Challenge. Watchtower Challenge. If that's the idea, the other idea is to do an audio drama. That's the only other idea I have for it, like long audio dramas. Do you three have any ideas what we can do with the DC superheroes?
I do have one idea. Oh, do you want to go first?
You can go first.
Oh, okay, sure. Thank you. I had an idea for the Doom Patrol. I was thinking of maybe doing some interviews of it's the chief interviewing all of the members. Like we get to know more about like Negative Man and Elastigirl and Crazy Jane and of course Robot Man, and maybe we can add a couple of obscure DC superheroes to their very strange group, as they would like to be called. And just do something like that from there. Maybe like add Metamorpho or Firestorm or something like that. So that was just one idea I had.
Yeah, definitely we'll have to do a lot more research on Doom Patrol for that, because I'm unfamiliar with that.
I intend to buy the omnibus.
So Sean?
Well, I'd say that if we keep it with the interview format, the way that we could possibly incorporate the DC Universe heroes, let's say Batman or Green Arrow and so forth, would most likely be like interrogation scenes, like say from Batman and the Killing Joke, whether the comic or the animated movie. Read the comic first because that one's a lot better.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like say if Batman's interrogating the Joker or Green Arrow is interrogating Adrian Chase, or Flash is interviewing or has like Reverse Flash or something in like his own like personal like Speed Force cage. That could be one idea that we could be able to incorporate them in. Or a second possibility is possibly therapy sessions for said heroes and or sidekicks.
So Heroes in Crisis, but not done terrible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes,
like
fuck
like
Heroes
in
in Crisis.
Because like in the episode of Young Justice, after the really, really dark episode where, spoiler alert for season 1, where basically everyone is trapped inside Megan's head and is going through this psychic exercise, but they all get traumatized by the fact that they all died and watched everyone else die and the world practically ended. And then afterwards, they were just like traumatized to the point. So then they had to go to, say, Black Canary, who was the one who gave them the counseling, or even Megan Morse in season 2, or no, it was season 3, where she became a counselor. And then they can be able to, like, you know, unload their trauma, because the stuff that superheroes have to go through is very traumatic, and only a handful of them could be able to fully understand, because they couldn't be able to just go to just like any therapist and then expect them to understand or even deal with the stresses that they're going through. So having someone like, say, Black Canary or Martian Manhunter or Megan Morse actually go in, that's one of the ways, or I think a different way we could be able to incorporate like one-on-one sessions, as opposed to like getting a full-on audio drama and trying to get like several people in the same scene and interact with each other while still maintaining the basic format of the series that we're currently doing.
Yeah, one of the ideas I have too personally is to actually break the format a little bit too, of just having, because I have an episode written that's going to be coming out between episode 10 and 11, between season 1 and 2, that is not a interview, it's just two interviewers talking. And I was also thinking about how almost like writing a complete like audio drama like you'd hear in old time radio, and just have do superhero versions of that. That's another idea. So, audience, whoever's listening to us, hopefully you hear all the ideas. Give us your ideas down in the description below. I'd love to hear it. I'm pretty sure everyone here would love to hear it. So time for the second question. And I really didn't prepare a lot of these questions too well ahead of time, so sorry about. I'm not sure if this one's going to be a bad one or not. But what's it like working on this project?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Could you repeat that one more time?
Okay, so parents, people didn't hear me. Hey, can you guys hear me? Check.
No, yeah, we can definitely hear you.
Okay. So, what's it like working on this project?
I've been having a blast writing the most recent episode of season 2. I've been really enjoying the process and just allowing myself to geek out in all of my like nerd fantasies give me on are just jotted down on paper, although I go straight to Word doc. I haven't written down like a script in years. I go strictly Word document. But no, it's been really fun, and getting to work with you as our boss has been really fun and really interesting. And uh, even though I haven't been here long, I still hope to continue working with you guys and have a fun time doing this, because I love the DC universe. I love playing around in it, and I've always wanted to, you know, do work on a project that is involved in that universe, and this gives me the perfect opportunity to, enhance my writing skills and add something to my portfolio that goes, and hopefully one day that maybe like DC or someone is like, hey, that guy likes us and he wants to work for us, so maybe there's something there, you know. I but yeah I've been having a fun time doing this, and I've been really enjoying all the fun Discord chats and the actor for the Riddler constantly giving us riddles and undermining us the whole time, which is fun. He's a method actor. I'm like, okay, cool, Jared Leto, we got you. But
Jim
but
Carrey, because they both do it.
fair.
Oh God.
So goes
Jim
hilarious.
Carrey more so.
No, I've heard worse things about Jared Leto.
There's a reason why I went to Soko specifically, the actor of Riddler, to do a voice test for the Riddler, because he's basically the Riddler all the time.
Oh, really?
He's almost like 24/7 Riddler, and it's both hilarious and annoying at some points. But it's great working with him. He's great.
Mm.
So we're gonna keep going down the line, and I'm gonna be the last one.
Mm.
And then I'm going to be the last one to answer this question. So we're going to go to Sean MD.
Okay. Well, like Lex said, I am also a big fan of the DC universe, so being able to incorporate a character that's in it and being able to interact with all these very interesting personalities that are written to a T for these characters. But one thing that I do enjoy about working on this specific project is the fact is that the character that I play, Marcus, is an original character. So it's kind of like being pushed in to the DC universe and like a fresh face that's being introduced to all of the different villains, and like I'm somehow incorporated into this universe.
Oh yeah. The interviewers are completely original characters, and they're not completely developed when they were first written. but they slowly evolve. And one of the things I do is most of the VAs actually end up, the way they perform is how I end up writing the interviewers from then on. Is, for example, like Zelda wasn't meant to be as quirky as she is, but Silver Dreamy Rose, who voices her, gives her a lot of quirkiness and excitement that now I write her with that. And same thing with Marcus as well. Marcus also gets that treatment as well. So it's a great back and forth, voice actor to writer. Anything else you'd like to add, Sean, before we go to term? Because I feel like term's just like...
I think that's about it.
Term?
Well, so far the project has been quite entertaining. Even though I haven't much interacted with all of you, but these podcasts have been giving me the occasion to talk a bit more about comics and a little bit about superheroes in general, which is something that a lot of you, I can probably believe, relate to or have grown up with. So it was quite an experience to go along with that, and I honestly would like to renew that a bit more. Besides, everyone loves a good villain and hero stories.
Yep, and and again, like I came to you to play Mr. Freeze, and you did wonderful with him. Honestly, I personally absolutely love doing this because it was my idea. So of course I love this. Of course I love DC. Of course I love this. But at the same time, the process of working with other writers, working with voice actors, especially ones that I personally love listening to their stuff for, and finding the perfect voice actor and getting the perfect writers for certain scenes has been, absolutely great. It's a headache sometimes because you have to juggle everything, especially in my position. But as I said before, like the characters themselves, the original characters like Marcus, Sophia, Dr. Rose, Derek Cyrus, Zelda Tenpenny, and Percy. All 6 of these characters have a cool personality that is going to always show up, but they are growing. Like, Sean, you know this. Marcus wasn't the character he is now due to the more stuff I've added to him, because the more research I've done. These characters grow in these interviews as well. Any last additions to this topic before I move on?
No?
The last question then, and this one's going to be a fun one. If you had to choose one superhero that DC came up to you and said you could write any character, who would you write for? And you can only pick one.
Oh, that's a difficult one.
Only one, you bastard.
Oh, I already got mine.
Okay, Sean, then you start. I already have mine too. And I cheat.
Jason Todd or the Red Hood.
Oh, yeah.
that's a
Oh,
good
yeah, I
one.
can definitely see that.
You and Lex both.
Wait, you both got the same one?
Lex, when I was interviewing Lex to be a writer, I asked him the same question, but he chose multiple ones, and one of them was the Red Hood.
Yeah, I love Jason.
Oh, yeah. Even
what
though
was-
he's technically not the definitive Robin, but he is definitely one of the most, in my opinion, the most interesting.
Yeah, I'd say he's the most interesting when he's no longer Robin. I'd say after he got beaten to death and then blown up and then brought back in the Lazarus pit, he became far more interesting. I mean, I think he had like an interesting backstory. I mean, pre-Crisis, I think he was just like a circus performer like Dick.
Yeah,
And
Actually,
And then
Actually, in
afterward,
some iterations of the comic, he's just like a random boy on the street. And like say Batman Under the Red Hood, the animated movie, Bruce literally just found him while he was trying to get the wheels off the Batmobile. That's how he met him in that instance.
Yeah,
That's
well,
post-crisis.
in post-crisis,
Yeah.
yes, that's the one. And I'm also familiar with the animated movie. The animated movie is actually what introduced me to Red Hood, and I was just
me
like, "Who
too.
is this guy?"
So it's like,
Yeah. And funny thing is that when you know how many defense system the Batmobile has, that kid almost got it really bad. Just imagine he tries it, either electric shock or either like rubber bullet or something. The kid would be dead. you just imagine Batman just returns to the Batmobile and he sees a kid who has just been burned, pummeled, and he's crying on the floor. He's like, "What's going on?" Like, I tried to take the wheels. I'm like, bad idea.
An
Yeah.
idea, but I like your guts.
but see, one of the best things that I like, there's actually a video on YouTube called from the YouTuber called Rain Sage, and he does a lot of in-depth character analysis on DC, specifically Batman characters, and he made a very valid point that compared to Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, Dick Grayson is seen as Batman's greatest success, while Jason Todd is seen as Batman's greatest failure.
I agree with that.
Yes. Sage Rain is a wonderful YouTuber. Go check his shit out. It's great.
Hmm.
But yeah, I completely agree with that. Red Hood is definitely a interesting character. He's not my personal favorite out of the what I like to call the Robin Boys. My personal favorite, I'm just gonna throw this in, is Damian Wayne.
Really?
Really now?
Just because I like the idea of someone who doesn't need to know how to defend himself, but someone who needs to learn not to kill. Someone
That's
who
true.
needs to learn morals. Someone who truly needs to grow the hell up.
What's so
And
funny
I
is
love that.
yeah, I get it. But the funny thing is, I subscribe to this YouTube channel called Comic Pop. They do this show called Back Issues, where they talk about comic stories and read it to two guys that have never read the comic before or have never ever read comics before, and explains it to them and just see their reactions as to like, what do you mean Jason Todd came back from the dead with the Superboy punch? But so the guy in charge of it, Sal, he hates Damien. He thinks that he just hates Damien on like a level of like, oh, you gave Batman like a birth son. Now it just vindicates all of the Robins because now you gave him like a birth son when you could have just left with Dick Grayson. And I kind of see the point to that, but I also think Damien has a lot of possibility and a lot of potential to be one of the best DC characters. But so I think it's just a matter of time.
I personally disagree with that. Personally, because again, this comes back to the fact that I myself am adopted, like Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. And if my adoptive parents had a kid, he would be my little brother.
Yeah.
Even if we don't share the same blood, he's my little brother.
Yeah. I'm not saying I necessarily agree with them. I'm kind of more on your side.
I'm just saying like my perspective and my point on it.
Yeah, I know.
So, Lexo, outside of Red Hood, no two answers.
I know.
Give me the same.
For me personally, I would love to write the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and me both.
I have this idea in my mind for like 2 seasons of a question HBO Max show. I would love to write the question because I think he's such a underrated and fascinating character. Of course, my origin of my fascination with him came from the Justice League Unlimited cartoon.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah, I
that
can
was-
definitely see that.
Yeah, which I've been told like that's the best version of the Question. Even though Question in the comics is still interesting, that's like the best version. I'm like, oh, okay. I like Jeffrey Combs. I love him in Deep Space Nine, so he's cool. But yeah, no, I really think he has so much potential to just he could be like neck and neck with Batman on the level of
Exactly.
detective skills.
The idea I have with the Question is that people come up to him when Batman is busy and there is a need for a big detective around. So basically, if when the big bat guy just is away, they go to the Question to solve these type of problems.
And I personally love the Question myself. The way I always view him is he's basically he's very similar to Batman, but he's a little bit more brutal.
Yeah, they're like I think Question doesn't have a problem with killing. And I think you can tell like some of those darker Batman stories that you're like, okay, maybe this is like pushing the envelope a little too much. Like so funny as I was watching this podcast earlier on called The Comics Experiment. It's on the Comic Historian channel, which you should check out. They're really cool. So they were doing a discussion about who's better, Batman or Moon Knight. And, you know, I say Batman, but I think the benefit of, like, Moon Knight, even though this is a DC podcast, not Marvel, Moon Knight, you have the potential to experiment with him. Do the stories that you can't do with, like, Spider-Man or the Fantastic Four. Do the dark and gritty stories because he's so, like, he's not as popular as those characters, so you have more free reign. That's like the benefit that Daredevil always has. Even though he's widely popular, he's kind of considered underrated in a way, and because he's not as popular, writers have the ability to do things that they can't do with like Spider-Man. So, and I think Question can be that from multiple writers where they're like, hey, you guys, you have the story that you think you can't tell with Batman? Tell it with the Question. Like, just give it to them. And, like, if Alan Moore still liked his comic work that he did, I think he would have made one hell of a Question story. Like,
Oh yeah.
it basically Watchmen was supposed to be the Charlton characters. Like Rorschach was supposed to be Question, and then they were like, "Oh, we own them now, so you can't use them." I'm like, "Okay." So I think that character has so much potential to just be like this. Like he's already a cult favorite, but I think you can grab more people rather than just leaving it to just the cartoon, which I feel like in a way is kind of enough, but but it doesn't hurt to like bring in more people. I haven't read the Death of Vic Sage story, but I've heard it's really, really good, and a writer like Jeff Lemire could definitely like make that character into a more classic character. So, yeah, to answer your question, that the Question is the DC character I would love to write the most out of all the DC characters. Even though I love Flash and Green Lantern, and I think I would want to do something with Wonder Woman, but I think that because the Question needs more popularity, I would definitely love to use the Question.
Yep. So, now, Kerr.
Okay, here's where I had a little bit of a struggle. Because I have not one, but 4 people in my mind, so I had to choose among them. One of them being already chosen, which is the Question. So, giving it a little bit of thought, I had 3 people in mind, but I end up. Well, I'm telling you just who they are. It was either Booster Gold, the Spectre, or what was his face again? Oh, Plastic Man. But in the end, I just thought that for the tone and also for the dumb stuff that goes with it, Plastic Man would just be one hell of a ride to road about. You can just introduce at the same time serious topic, but taking them with an extreme amount of humor in it. Or just do the complete runaround. You can just have something that is very much stupid and highly comical in spirit, but you treat them on a very serious note. Like literally, for example, let me give you one instance. You have him and other superheroes because suddenly, gasp! Lex Luthor stole 40 cakes, something like that. You can basically have a wide range on how you can put the character in these types of situation. When I would go for writing a character, I'm mostly looking for variety and the type of range I could go for a story. Well, of course, being a very synonymous character with change and a lot of stupid things he can do. But honestly, I would just have a blast to do something with Plastic Man. Even though I would really love a more serious story of vengeance with the Spectre, but in the end, I would have more fun with Plastic Man.
Plastic Man is a great story. I've heard one person say that Plastic Man and Dick Grayson are Batman's two successes. Because Plastic Man is a criminal that got redeemed, whereas Dick Grayson, is someone he raised to basically be better than him, and Dick Grayson is in some ways better than Batman.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. Because one thing that I really love about Dick Grayson, even though Jason Todd's my favorite Robin, he's basically better than Batman in the sense that his tragedy no longer owns him. Batman, his tragedy's going to haunt him till the day he dies. But Dick Grayson, on the other hand, not only got over the death of his parents, not only is able to actually connect with people, something that Bruce could very rarely do, and only does it if he's in control, but Dick Grayson, because of that, is able to have different relationships. He's been able to lead several teams, including the Titans, the team from Young Justice, or even the Justice League in some instances. And even has taken up the mantle of Batman and refused not to take it because he knows not only the weight of it, but also just how much it's been weighing on Bruce. And he doesn't want to become what Bruce is, because he's his own unique flavor of... He's the reason why Batman isn't the Red Hood. That's why he's not deep down like full-on vengeance, because Dick gives Batman hope.
We need to have this as a podcast where we talk nothing about Robins.
Oh yeah.
Just for an hour, it's just like a discussion about Robins.
It's like, who is your favorite and why?
I think that would be a fun another podcast discussion, just that. But what you were saying,
which one is your favorite sidekick of a certain hero, for example?
So,
even though Batman has a lot.
But yeah,
it's time for my turn to answer the question.
Actually, I'm sorry to cut you off there. I wanted to say, Sean, on the thing you were saying about Dick Grayson, I harken back to an episode of Young Justice, like in season 1. It's my favorite episode, the Agendas episode, and they're discussing new League members, and so they find out that Shazam is actually a kid, and they're like, should we keep him? Should we get rid of him? And so they were, but Batman's like, he stays with me, and I knew the whole time. And Wonder Woman basically says, that shouldn't surprise me, considering you adopted Robin into the crime fighting at the rightful age of 9. And Batman just says, Robin needed to take the man who murdered his parents and bring him to justice. And so she says, so he can be like you? And Batman's best response,
have to be.
Yes, so he doesn't have to. So he doesn't have to be. Exactly. That's what Batman knows. Batman knows he's fucked up. He knows that he can't move on. Sorry, I cursed. I didn't know what kind of podcast this was.
You can.
Okay. Fuck. But yeah, exactly. Batman knows that he is mentally damaged, and basically Dick took all the lessons and just turned it into something better. And like we were saying, he became Batman. And unpopular opinion, I think Dick Grayson was a better Batman than Bruce. Maybe not as a detective, but like ethically.
Yeah, definitely, and to me that's kind of the point of Dick, is he is supposed to be a better Batman.
I would agree that Tim Drake is more towards the detective part, but
Yeah.
Dick Grayson, it's the idealism of Batman. So, yeah, I would definitely go with Grayson on this one. Not
So-
because he's my favorite, but of course.
I cheated with this question. Cause I have to pick two heroes. Hawk and Dove. Cause you can't have one without the other.
That's true.
I mean, if it's a duo that's so synonymous that you cannot put them aside each other, I guess that could count.
Yeah.
Like Moss Minos or the
Exactly.
Wonder Twins.
Would Firestorm count in that case because he's two
No,
people?
okay,
Like Professor Stein with
With Ronnie or Jason, yeah.
Yeah. So, to me, Hawk and Dove, the way they were supposed to be, is what, to me, America should be more like. Two sides who, they don't completely agree with each other, the right and the left. They don't completely agree with each other, but they can both agree on a bigger enemy. And instead of fighting each other all the time, of course it's going to happen, they fight the enemy. They both are wrong, they're both are right in some circumstances. And to me, showing a balance and showing these two completely different people working together, to me, that is what I want to do with these characters. It's what I think should be done with these characters, and it's something I wish happened more in comics. Where people team up not because they completely agree with each other, but because they disagree with each other. And the way I always describe it is, the saying, "Speak softly but carry a big stick." Dove needs to learn how to carry a big stick, whereas Hawk needs to learn to speak softly, and they teach each other that throughout the story. To me, that's how I would write them and why I would write them.
Yeah, I think
see, one thing that I do like about Justice League Unlimited, when they do end up writing or just showing like one specific characters, I really liked how they did Hawk and Dove.
Oh yeah,
Because just that episode alone shows you what their characters and their arcs are all about.
Yeah.
One's peaceful, one's more forceful.
I grew up with that episode, and I watched it at least once a year while growing up. At least once a month, sometimes, in some cases. I grew up with that episode. I grew up with that lesson. And I love that lesson. And I love Hawk and Dove because to me, so this is what having a brother is like. You both hate them, but you love them at the same time.
Yeah, I get that.
Because even though the two of them have argued, and Hawk consistently puts down Dove by saying he's weak, the moment Dove is in danger, Hawk goes into a fury. And even though Wonder Woman is holding him back, he's yelling, saying, "Let me go! Let me go! He's going to get himself killed!" And you see legit concern, and I love that. I love that. That even though these two are completely different people, they still love each other and would do anything for each other. And that's something I think should be shown more often in media in general. I love this idea and I want more of it.
Yeah. That actually is a pretty good episode. Like a few months back, I was rewatching Justice League Unlimited series with a friend of mine, and we saw that episode, and we were both like, "Huh, I forgot this was actually a pretty good episode." That and the greatest story never told. It made me love Booster Gold even more.
Yeah, Booster Gold is a great character too. If I had to truly keep it to just one character, like I could treat like I did, I'd have to just pick Wave Rider.
Mm.
No one fucking knows. But he's a time traveler, and the idea of the story is he's a time traveler who goes back in time and destroys the meteor that made Vandal Savage immortal after it made him immortal. And Wave Rider has to stop Vandal Savage from taking over the world, but at first it's done through talking. At first, the two of them are friends, but they slowly begin hating each other. And wherever the two of them show up, they are at each other's throats.
Mm.
What's so funny is Wave Rider was introduced in like one of the worst DC events ever. It was called Armageddon 2001, and it's also the one that actually makes Hawk into a bad guy. So I found it funny that you picked, Wave Rider, and it immediately made me think of that story.
Armageddon 2001 is shit.
Yeah.
It started out good. It started out so good. But they fucked up.
Yeah. I didn't read it, but I was told about it immediately. But I was told about it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds horrendous.
So I'm going to cheat, and I have one more question. What do you guys have any more questions that you guys want to discuss?
Yes, there is one question I do have for everyone here. Usually there was practices that was being done back in the days, which basically in the comics back in the time, there was some question being asked, like a pool given to the viewer to decide the outcome of X or Y, or the fate of X or Y character.
Oh, that's the one that everyone decided to kill off Robin.
Yes, for example, would you imagine this happening today? Like someone just say, hey, by the way, we have this character that you've known and loved for a very long time. Should we kill it? Like for good?
Imagine the Twitter polls on that. That would be insane.
Oh my god, just imagine that. They do Jason Todd, but this time, they even do it on Twitter or somewhere else on their pool, and they're telling us, like, let's just pick a complete random character in the DC, like, in DC universe, and say, oh yeah, by the way, decide the fate of this character. Like, you could have anything you want. You could like just straight up live, die, or surprise me. For example, let's just say if you could, for example, give Batman, he's in a terrible situation, and you could have the choice to let him live, let him die, or have something completely unimaginable happen to him. Which one of these three would you choose? Like let's just say he's like tied to, I don't know, he's like on the rope above, there is sharks, lava sharks, let's just say something like that. And the situation is completely desperate. Which of these three which of these three answers would you choose?
Now, see, that's actually interesting because in the re-release of Batman Under the Red Hood, Death in the Family, they actually incorporate that into different stories. Like saying you have the option to have Batman be the one who dies in the building as opposed to Jason Todd, and then have him go off and instead of becoming the Red Hood, he becomes Red Robin and ends up going on his vigilante spree, and then Tim Drake becomes the next Batman. Or Jason Todd becomes the surrogate father to Damian and becomes the new leader of the League of Shadows, or have Jason actually go off and kill Joker after Batman's death, or even just have Batman also be brought up from the Lazarus Pit. And there was a lot of scenarios that was written for that movie.
Oh, I need to see that.
You could just look up clips on YouTube, and the amount of stuff that's in there is insane.
No, I'm going to.
I'm gonna buy the DVD next time. because I heard if you get it on digital, it doesn't come with the decisions.
So for me
Gotcha.
personally, in that scenario, I'm sorry, Bruce, but I do think it's time for someone else to become Batman for a good while. I do genuinely think I love Bruce Wayne as Batman.
Mhm.
Bruce Wayne is still, the iconic Batman, but I do think it is time to pass the mantle on to someone else. Because even in this universe I've created, Bruce Wayne isn't going to be Batman forever.
Yeah.
Eventually, Terry McGinnis does become Batman at some point. How do we get there?
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
is my second favorite Batman. Yes.
I was just watching a
And
Batman
I love-
Beyond panel earlier today.
I
Wilfredo
actually
was saying
got
how
to
much he
meet
loved
him.
it.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Really? You got to meet Wilfredo?
Yep. I even got his autograph that has the Batman Beyond photo. I think I actually still have it on my phone. I'll see if I can drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
Mm.
I got
Yeah,
a
I'd love to see it.
picture and autograph with Kevin Conroy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was so nice. He was so nice. In fact, I asked him if he could say the line, and he said in front of me, but he told me that I couldn't record it because, Warner Brothers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But he did do his classic, I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman, in front of me, and I was just like, ah! Like, I was so happy.
I think he gets that so often, and Kevin Conroy just seems like a really cool guy.
Yeah.
But
oh yeah, you can only do one line so many times and still love it.
Yeah, like he actually loves being Batman, and he's gone into interviews and says why he loves it. He says he loves it because, he remembers how interesting Bruce Wayne is as a character. And he's like, that's why I keep playing Batman. Because he's so fascinating to play, and there's so many different angles you can play him at.
Yep. So, with that, we are going to end the interview here. Actually.
Oh, you find my hat
with
a
a
little
loud
thing?
sound.
Oh, that looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. Lucky son of a bitch.
Mhm.
So, again, we're going to end the podcast. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And for everyone who's been here all the way through, thank you so much. And I really do hope that, we get to see you guys in the comment section and discussing and talking about the same questions.
Yeah.
But as I said before, this is everyone signing off. Later, everyone.
See you
Take
around.
care.
See ya.
Take care.
Stop recording